97.97. Let's do Champ and Chump. We do it every Monday at this time. Who had the best weekend? And I'm going to start with my champ of the weekend, Gators, Cassius Winston. 32 points against Michigan, 9 assists. Last year in the first game against Michigan, he had 27 points and 8 assists. I think he's strong candidate for National Player of the Year the way he's been playing of late. Obviously, everybody, has prayers for him and his family after the tragedy that befell his family. And you got to be impressed. The guy gets to the basket and just makes shots. Cassius Winston, my champ of the weekend.
He played a near flawless game yesterday, and it looked like he was very much at home yesterday. Had a smile on his face the whole time, and I think that was probably a really good feeling for Cassius Winston. For me, the champ's going to be Mike Vrabel. Steady as she goes with his team with Tennessee. Made the tough decision to bail on Marcus Mariota, go with Ryan Tannehill. The team's 8-2 since, with a playoff win at New England. He trumped the master with the delay tactics, running off nearly 2 minutes a clock with false starts and delay of game penalties, much to the Emperor's chagrin. I loved watching Mike Vrabel just give it right back to Bill Belichick.
My chump of the weekend.
Man, you a chump.
I said this before,
Man, you a chump.
but I think it is making the game less watchable, less enjoyable. It's NFL replay. I've come to hate replay. What replay has done is take a game where we didn't like missed calls, but accepted it as part of the game, to now we still don't like missed calls, but we no longer accept it as part of the game. I think the game is less enjoyable, and it drags on because of replay. That play at the end of the Saints-Vikings game, was it offensive pass interference? It was just as much as offensive pass interference as I saw flagged for offensive pass interference, but it was never going to get overturned in a review because they've set this precedent that basically they will only overturn a pass interference call if the Rams' Nickel Roby-Coleman gets to Tommy Lee Lewis too early and knocks him. They put it in place for one call and one call only, a call that happened last year. And they won't overturn these plays.
Well, they did change it a little bit at the end of the year. They did change the standard, but even with that changing standard, that wasn't going to overturn yesterday.
Of course not. But I just find replay to have made the game less enjoyable to watch. And I don't like that it takes longer either. I'm done with replay. I want it gone.
Well, I differ on that, but my chump is Eric Ebron. He decided to take the last several weeks off with an ankle injury that the team felt that maybe he'd probably come back from. Colts decided to move on from him and his crappy attitude. They didn't his drop passes as well. He had almost one really great season, and now he's back on the market to disappoint another franchise. So good luck with that.
All right, get your champ and chump votes in. Who should be singled out for having the best weekend? Who should be called out for having a weekend that stinks?
I want to get back to something with the replay. There's a play, and I'm unfortunately the games kind of blend together here, and I forget which play it was, which game it was, but a player had caught the ball, pretty impressive catch, and it hadn't been touched down yet. And as he gets up and dives trying to get the first down, they ruled that he got the first down on the field. Then they reviewed the spot of the ball. And when they were reviewing the spot of the ball, they determined the play stance is called. And I totally got it. However, I think that the problem in that case was the interpretation from the guys in the booth of why they thought that he should have been ruled down and short, and I think that they forgot about the rule itself, unless I'm wrong. When a guy, because they freeze framed it when he was touched, when a player had gotten up and had been touched. But when he was touched, his knees were off the ground, his arms were off the ground, and he was in the air again. Now, if I'm not mistaken, if you fall down and nobody touches you, and you get back up, it's not two-hand touch. You have to take him to the ground again.
Yeah.
That seemed to skip their minds, and they're like, wow, this should be a half yard shy. I don't get it. And even the referee in the booth, whoever is du jour doing the game, is like, I agree with you guys. I'm surprised this one's cut. And I'm like, it's because he's back up again.
When they touched him, he wasn't down.
Yeah.
Look, I understand what replay's in place for. It is chasing after perfection. But we're never going to get there. The one thing I've learned is we're never going to get there, and people will always leave dissatisfied. But what has happened is our standard has gone up, and I think the gulf, the distance, the delta between our level of satisfaction and what we're getting in terms of officiating is wider than it was before replay.
Yeah, I disagree. I think it's absolutely necessary in the league. I think that they should expand it for certain calls. My big beef is that I think it should be expanded for face mask. Absolutely for face mask. I think you should review personal foul calls to make sure you get it right. And I get that there's frustration when you think that things haven't gone your way, but to me, it's infinitely more frustrating when you have technology to overturn something that clearly should be overturned, and they don't do it. And there were plenty of calls that were overturned over the weekend that, thank God, replay was there to eliminate the controversy.
Well, the problem is the old cliche that you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. I'm not sure we can ever go back to the way it was. I just wish we never had it in the first place. I found the game more enjoyable pre-replay.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, the New Orleans game. You've got the who was it? For the Vikings had gotten hit, went to the ground. I don't know if it was Dalvin Cook or was the other running back. Knees down,
return for a touchdown.
Ball pops up in the air. Saints pick it up and run it in the end zone. It looks like they just won the game.
Yeah, but
looks like they just won it.
But the problem is, because of replay, they let it go. They don't even bother blowing the whistle on most of those occasions. Replay impacts how you officiate that game.
And I'm fine with it.
Okay, but my point is that play very well may have been blown dead had there been no replay. I think officials now are, they clearly are, and they made the point during the broadcast. They're taught not to blow the whistle if there's even just a scintilla of a doubt, because they don't want to blow a play dead because they know they can rely on replay.
Wouldn't you rather have that than them make the wrong call and you can't replay it?
I'd rather have them make the right call, but here's the thing. I hear more people saying they can't watch the game because of the officiating. Somebody said last night in my hockey locker room, I'm done with football. And I don't remember that ever being the case.
I don't doubt that's being said, but guess what? Ratings just went up the roof again. Okay, yeah. All channels, ESPN, NBC, Fox, CBS. Again, ratings went up. So people say that.
People say it all the time.
But do they really follow through? And maybe some do. But guess what? Everyone else is watching.
I don't think ratings are going up because of replay.
No, but they're not going down.
Ratings would still be going up. And I find the game just to be less enjoyable to watch because of replay. I also hate the yay, but it's going to be reviewed. That is a weird psychology that plays its role on fans, is that when you see a play, you don't even know if you should really cheer it because a lot of plays are going to get reviewed.
But the ratings are still going up. Whether
I know they'd be going up without
it.
They'd be going up without it. They might be going up more.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I just get the play right. You get the calls right that you can get right, and when they don't get it right in your mind, it's because it's one of these borderline calls. I'm fine with it.
Hey, I'm not asking you.
No, I understand. This is your opinion. I can't sway you. You're not going to sway me on this.
You to enjoy the game less now. I'm saying I enjoy it less now because of replay.
We cannot argue that. But that guy that in your locker room that says I'm not watching anymore, that guy's like, who cares about that guy? You know what I mean? Because the ratings reflect otherwise. And secondly, you can put some of the toothpaste back in the tube, Doug. It's just you can get rid of the review of offensive pass interference or defensive pass interference. So
I think
they
should get rid of all of that because it has no teeth. They can do that.
Yeah,
I'd get rid of all of it.
Well, but again, it comes back to because the interference one is really what's infuriating this year, because they add that in there, and there are plays that clearly you feel like should be overturned, and they weren't, and that's the NFL's fault. But in defense of the NFL, they only put that rule into place to counter the absolutely positively egregious mistake made, like what was made last year in the NFC Championship game. And I get it. I didn't like how they officiated that particular call, and I think it does open up a new can of worms that I wish that they would kind of close that can. But I understand why it's there.